The divisional playoffs are off to a great start in the AFC, and now as far as the NFL's Final Four, we find out if it will be the Packers or Niners advancing to the NFC title game. Joe Buck leads the crew and is ready for the call. Joe.
All right, Kurt, we are ready for football on the NFC side. The divisional playoff round between the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Pam Oliver, Aaron Andrews are all coming up. This is a rematch from week 1 of the regular season. A lot has changed since then. One thing that hasn't, at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers. A young quarterback who grew up about a 3-hour drive north and east of here, making his first start in the NFL here in the stadium that once housed his favorite 49ers teams led by Joe Montana and Steve Young. So we stay with the quarterbacks as the 49ers take the field. And while we know about Aaron Rodgers, Troy, a guy who's won a Super Bowl, the guy we don't know about is Colin Kaepernick, and all eyes will be on him tonight for the 49ers.
Yeah, there's a bit of an unknown with Colin Kaepernick, even though he has started 7 games. The question really is, how will he handle this playoff atmosphere? I think the good thing for him is that he shouldn't have to do it alone. This is a 49ers offense that likes to run the ball, and they do it very well with Frank Gore. On the other side, you talk about Aaron Rodgers. It's unlikely he'll get much help with his running game against this very stingy defensive group with the 49ers. That's not uncommon for him. He's going to have to do it through the air. He comes in red hot. He's been exceptional this year. I'm looking forward to watching him play.
I know you are. You're not lying. We walked into the booth and Troy Aikman said, I don't think I've ever been more excited with a playoff game coming up as we have for you tonight. We'll give you our quarterback comparison brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. Aaron Rodgers with that resume during the postseason. Colin Kaepernick, his first career postseason start. We're getting after it a little bit late. It'll be worth the wait. We'll come back with more before kickoff in San Francisco on Fox. Doesn't get much prettier than that. Back at Candlestick Park. Let's send it to the public address announcer.
And now to honor America, performing tonight's national anthem. This year, celebrating the 30th anniversary of their multi-platinum album, Sports. Please welcome Grammy-winning artist Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glow, the bomber bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What a scene in San Francisco. We'll take a break, come back, and kick it off. 49ers, Packers, coming up. It on the of January 2013, 48-degree night. Winds out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Very pleasant down on the field, all things considered. And Mike McCarthy, a former offensive coordinator here with the 49ers in his 7th season as head coach of the Green Bay Packers, won it all 2 years ago as a number 6 seed. And Jim Harbaugh has his number 2 seeded 49ers here at home to take on Green Bay. Glad you're with us, and away we go. The rookie LaMichael James on the return. Out across the 25. John Kuhn on the stop. 23-yard return by James. And we look at Colin Kaepernick. And I know, Troy, talking to you, this is the great unknown coming into this game. They had Alex Smith at quarterback playing well. He took him to the champ game last year. Now it's the second-year quarterback.
Well, it was a bold move, obviously, by head coach Jim Harbaugh back when he made the switch from Alex Smith, who was playing good football, to Colin Kaepernick. And until today's game, we really haven't known whether that decision will pay off. But we're going to find out here in this one.
Quick setup and throw, and the pass complete to Crabtree. He's been the favorite target for Kaepernick since he took over. Tremont Williams on the coverage in a gain of 9. And why don't we start up front, Troy? I know we've talked about it before. This is one offensive line that reminds you of the good one that protected you in Dallas. This is as good as it gets.
It is as good as it gets. 3 first-round picks. It's the heartbeat of this offensive unit. And they mash people at the line of scrimmage.
A pistol formation with Gore behind Kaepernick on 2nd and 1. It's Gore, first down. Burnett on the stop and a gain of 7. We'll look at 3 key guys for Green Bay defensively. Obviously, Clay Matthews, who had 2.5 sacks week 1 against the 49ers, working on Staley. Raji in the middle, and second game back for Woodson. It's Gore again. A gain of 3. Clay Matthews on the stop.
They come back with the exact same play they ran on the previous one, and they've got Vernon Davis and Delaney Walker in the backfield. Those are the lead blockers, and offensive coordinator Greg Roman talking about it. He felt it would be difficult to run the ball inside. They would probably have to get out on the edges because of the size of those interior linemen, but those last 2 runs look pretty good for the 49ers.
On 2nd and 7, they fake the handoff. Kaepernick has all day. And he's picked. Shields back the other way. Sam Shields is going to take it in for the touchdown. "52 yards on the return, and the defense gets the early score."
They ran the ball. They come play action. He wanted to go to Crabtree, but he slipped coming out of his break, and so Kaepernick works to his left. Now it's a hard throw for a right-handed quarterback as he slides back to his left, trying to put enough on it, but you've got to get it out towards the sideline. Instead, it's behind the intended receiver. Sam Shields undercuts it and returns it for the touchdown.
Shields, who had 3 interceptions during the regular season, had a pick against Minnesota. And now he's got one for a touchdown against the 49ers. And so Kaepernick getting that first playoff start. His second throw is intercepted for a touchdown.
Yeah, he's working back. Vernon Davis just trying to get open because Kaepernick moving in the pocket. You see the throw was behind him. Easy interception for Sam Shields. That was the question coming into this game. Colin Kaepernick, who has done an excellent job in his 7 starts of protecting the football, couldn't have started this game off any worse.
First ever touchdown for Sam Shields. Crabtree shaking his head. We talked so much, Troy, last week about the footing. when we did the game between the Seahawks and the Redskins in Landover, and the footing's not a whole lot better here. It may be a little drier here at Candlestick, but there's not a lot of grass on the field that we're looking at right now.
Well, there's not a lot of grass. You've got to make sure, one, you have the right cleats on, that they're long enough and they're getting traction, and you also, as a receiver, have to make sure fundamentally you're running the routes right so that your feet are not coming out from underneath you. Look like Crabtree might have been making a cut off his outside foot, and because of that he slips, but that wasn't what caused the interception. It was a poor decision by Colin Kaepernick.
Here is a kick out of the back of the end zone off the foot of Mason Crosby. So Kaepernick back to the field. Meanwhile, Ryan Pickett was down at midfield when Shields was returning that interception for a touchdown. Pickett is such a big part of this run defense, taking on a team that was number 4 in the NFL running it. He is not on the field. On first down, that's Gore. And Gore gets 5.
Good play, obviously, there by Sam Shields, and they had missed him during the time that he was out. Of course, he emerged a couple of years ago in their playoff run and on to winning the World Championship last week in that game against the Minnesota Vikings. He led the team in tackles there against Adrian Peterson, and he starts this one off with a big play as well.
Now second down and 5. Kaepernick keeps it. Chased out to his left, and he will keep it. Turn it into a positive play of 2 yards. Forced out by A.J. Hawk.
He had a chance down the field. If he was able to get his shoulders turned and get something behind the ball, you're going to see Randy Moss. Of course, he's a guy, maybe the best deep threat in the history of this game. You see how he gets by Sam Shields, but in light of what just happened to Colin Kaepernick, can't blame him for not being able to turn that one loose.
Yeah, that's got to be the early question with regard to confidence for Kaepernick.
Well, you have bad things happen early, and you get a little bit nervous about trying to fit some throws.
Third down and 2. Pass is almost picked again. But a flag comes in as Crabtree was interfered with by Tramon Williams. Williams looked to be in better position for that throw, but a flag is thrown.
Yeah, Tramon Williams was inside. He had inside leverage.
Defense, number 38. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Clearly there was contact before the ball got there. Tramon Williams was in a good position at the snap of the ball, anticipating the slant route, but there was contact.
So on the hold, it's an automatic first down. Realize that Kaepernick is playing now after injuries to Mario Manningham, the number 2 receiver for the 49ers, and Kyle Williams. They are thin on the outside. Crabtree by far the top target. Kaepernick fires it too high for Crabtree. 2nd and 10 coming up.
Well, he had a shot at him too. It's just a ball that sailed on him, and you know, I know in visiting with Colin Kaepernick, he said, hey, I'm going to treat this just like any other game. That's what it is. And, you know, until you've gotten in a playoff game, you say those kinds of things, but it's anything but. You certainly realize that during the week. If you didn't realize it then, you absolutely did when you take the field. But in the early going here, Colin Kaepernick is a little bit nervous.
Second and 10. Pass is incomplete, trying to fit it into Vernon Davis. And Charles Woodson was right there for the Packers.
You see Charles Woodson as he drives on this. They're basically playing Vernon Davis inside out. And well, the Packers were glad to have Charles Woodson back last week, returning after several weeks off. And talked to him before the game. He says he feels great, and why wouldn't he? He's probably the freshest body on the field.
Missed the final 9 games of the season with that broken collarbone. Big weapon back for the Packers. On 3rd down and 10, Kaepernick has to scramble now, floats. He's got Gore. Gore is down inside the 30 and knocked down inside the 25.
Charles Woodson is going to be locked up in man coverage on Frank Gore out of the backfield, and Kaepernick, it looked to me like he was going to run it here because he had open field. He could pick up the 1st down, but with Woodson's back to Gore, he lays it perfectly into the arms of the running back, and that's a big play for the 49ers, putting him down here on this end of the field.
Kaepernick is known for his fastball, but he showed great touch. Floating it for Gore, and now with James in the backfield. After that 45-yard catch and run, Kaepernick's in trouble, and Matthews has got him. A loss of 7 as Clay Matthews, who missed 4 games during the regular season, had 13 sacks, is there for the Packers.
Joe Staley actually does a good job. I mean, he's anticipating that Kaepernick's going to be set up deep, and he holds the edge. But once Kaepernick started to try to scramble, that's when Matthews was able to come off the block and make the play.
Second down and 17 now. Delayed handoff to Gore. And a nice gain on 2nd and 17 of 9 as Woodson is there for the stop. Taking it to the 20-yard line with under 10 to play in the opening quarter.
Yeah, so they've run the ball between the tackles. You know, even though, as I said, Greg Roman anticipated having to be able to get out on the edge, they've run the inside draw plays, and Frank Gore has had some pretty good running lanes.
So Pickett's still on the sideline, injured on the interception return for a touchdown by Shields. Now 3rd and 8. A timeout taken by Jim Harbaugh. Play clock was down to 1. Harbaugh called it on the sideline. Take a break. 3rd down for the 49ers when we come back.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Aaron Rodgers trying to stay loose. It's been a while. Green Bay offense hasn't had it yet. 3rd down and 8.
For Colin Kaepernick, and nobody recognizes it and peels off of their receiver to be able to make a play. It's a great job by the 49ers answering after the tough start on the interception return for a touchdown.
7-7. Number 7 takes it in. Colin Kaepernick can do it through the air, and he can certainly do it on the ground. That answers. Tied in San Francisco.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
This crowd is back into it after Colin Kaepernick took it in. A touchdown run to tie the game at 7. And now after the long delay, we'll finally see Aaron Rodgers in the Packer offense. Line drive kick. Ross will take a knee. So here comes Aaron Rodgers. And you said a long time ago, as we sit here now, Troy, during the pregame show, that by your estimation, this is Aaron Rodgers' best season yet, and he's the reigning MVP.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, 46 touchdowns last year, 4,600 yards passing, NFL MVP. But I think when you consider the injuries and what he had to do to carry this team, I really believe he was even better this year.
Fake the handoff. Jennings wide open, makes a little move, and on 1st down, a gain of 7. Greg Jennings and Dante Whitner get into it after the play. So Rodgers starts the day 1 for 1 in this up-tempo offense. Kind of that muddle huddle behind the ball, not a full-fledged huddle, but not real quick to the line right now.
Well, Mike McCarthy, he likes to get as many chances at it as he can, and because of that, they like to hurry up and pick up the pace.
Rodgers throws out of the reach of the new running back Dwan Harris. Aaron Rodgers has had injuries behind him at running back, on the outside at wide receiver, and up front on the offensive line. And Greg Jennings went right into the face of Chris Culliver. No flag. That's what started it. On third down, pass out of the reach of Kuhn. It's 3 and out.
Well, Mike McCarthy talked about it, that the first playoff game is always the toughest, and that's really one of the main reasons why he wanted to really go up tempo to start this ball game. You think back to that week 1 game, this was an offense that really got off to a slow start, and after being on the sidelines for much of that first quarter, it was not a good start offensively for the Packers.
That drive lasted 42 seconds. Penalty flag flies on the return by Ginn. Out to midfield, but a flag is down. And that's looking like it's against San Francisco. A 28-yard return could be eliminated, and everybody moving down toward the area where Ted Ginn Jr. caught it.
During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 29. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. San Francisco keeps the ball. First down.
They get Culliver for the hold. Tied at 7. 49ers have it for the third time.
Today's game is sponsored by the all-new 2013 Ford Escape. It's what happens when you go further. By Meet the New Windows Phone, the smartphone reinvented around you. And by KFC. Come in today and taste why fresh is better.
This is a 7-7 game for those of you just joining us, and we know why. You have your reason for being late. What a game over on the AFC side. Baltimore upsets the Denver Broncos. Baltimore will be in the AFC Championship game for the 2nd consecutive season. On first down, Kaepernick keeps it. And to go through it with a game break, here's Kurt.
Well, you mentioned it, Joe. Here is how it happened. Peyton Manning, 3 turnovers today. This proved to be the costliest of the season. In overtime, this is his 2nd interception, and it set up double overtime where Justin Tucker kicked a 47-yard game winner, 38-35. As you said, Baltimore moved on to the AFC Championship game.
And they await the winner of the Texans and Patriots.
Well, you just don't expect to see that kind of throw from Peyton Manning.
They just get it away on 2nd down, and Gore will carry it out across the 20. A gain of 4. If you're just joining us, here's the night so far in the first career playoff start for Colin Kaepernick. We have seen the bad. Sam Shields with an interception, returned 52 yards for a touchdown, but we've seen the good. That little floating throw for Frank Gore set it up, and then Kaepernick took it in from 20 yards out.
You know, a couple throws got away from him, but I thought he showed some real composure coming back on that next drive and leading the team down to tie the game up.
Now 3rd and 2. Kaepernick keeps it's got room to go. And out of bounds at the 34. That read option that Kaepernick ran in college at Nevada. He gets 13 over the right side.
You're going to see the collapse right here, and as Frank Gore comes through the line and he pulls it back out, and then he's got a lead blocker, Delaney Walker, out in front of him, and Colin Kaepernick does the smart thing and getting out of bounds and protecting himself. We're seeing a lot of these quarterbacks. Certainly, Joe, we saw it last week in Washington, and they've done a good job of utilizing his skills and at the same time minimizing some of the hits.
On first down, it's Gore. And Gore lost a yard and a half. First guy there was Ryan Pickett, so good news for the Packers. Pickett, after being injured on that interception return for the touchdown, is back in the game. The Green Bay offense, they've had 1 completion, 2 incompletions, that's it. And the 49ers have put up over 100 yards of total offense so far in the opening quarter. Kaepernick puts it up, finds Randy Moss. And Moss has got a 49er first down.
You talk about some of the throws that maybe have gotten away here in the early going from Kaepernick. This ball was perfectly placed. He comes back to Randy Moss. He sees the relationship between the defender and the receiver. You see Tramon Williams breaking on it from his outside. He puts the ball to Moss's inside. It's an excellent job of execution.
On first down, Kaepernick. Over the middle, it's Moss, a juggling catch for a first down. "13 yards to Randy Moss."
Well, good protection inside. They bring extra defenders, and the 49ers pick it up. They've got Moss coming across the field. Should have been an easier catch than what it was, but Moss is able to bring it in.
Handoff is to Gore. He picks up 2. The change that was made to Colin Kaepernick was made to have more of a vertical passing attack, more of a gambling type approach for the 49ers. That's what Kaepernick has brought. His yards per attempt, his yards per completion, all up over where they were with Alex Smith.
Yeah, they have gotten the ball down the field more. They're scoring, a little bit more per game than they were with Alex Smith. And until the first possession here, they had protected the ball pretty well too.
Pump fake from Kaepernick, going for it all. Moss is overthrown. And Moss had Burnett, the safety, and Tramon Williams, the corner, with him.
Of course, they brought in Randy Moss to give them big playability, something they really did not have last year. As you see Colin Kaepernick at the end of this play, they're able to get to him. But Randy Moss has had a couple big plays down the field, but for the most part, his success has been in that intermediate range, which in a lot of ways should be expected because everyone knows what he can do down the field, and it opens up a lot of those underneath throws, and he's been able to take advantage of that.
3rd down and 8. Just 3 men on the rush. Kaepernick fires incomplete for Delaney Walker. And Shields was out there on the edge defending for Green Bay.
Yeah, so the Packers, they give up a little bit of yardage here on this drive, but they're able to make a stop when they needed to here on 3rd down. As you see, Sam Shields drives back on the ball against Delaney Walker, and now we'll get a chance to see what Jeremy Ross can do as a punt returner. Randall Cobb last week was not as effective as they would have liked.
Ross has been when he's gotten the chance. Big guy with a lot of speed. Leader. One of the best in the business at downing it inside the 20. This time it's into the end zone. So in a 7-7 game, with a trip to the NFC Championship on the line, Packers have it at the 20. Packers have run only 3 plays to the 49ers 21. From the 20, it's the first run of the game as DeJuan Harris. Good for 2.
Yeah, you know, they came out, as we talked about, Joe, in the hurry up, and that's great, and the Packers are typically pretty good at it, but the problem is if you don't get first downs, then you're not taking much time off the clock, and the way this game has unfolded, that's a defense that needs some rest.
Another one for Harris. And a running back who was a late add to the active roster December 1st. Gained 7, third, and about a yard coming up. Well, it is typically all on Aaron Rodgers. Not helped with a great running game. And they have filtered for one guy after another. It's fallen on DeJuan Harris. It's 3rd and 1. Hand off to Harris. He's got it. 100 total yards in the win over Minnesota, and little number 26, 5'8", 203 pounds, is good for 4, and he got it all 3 plays of this drive.
Yeah, DeJuan Harris he's just given this offense a little more juice than they've had in recent weeks.
On first down, Jones and Rodgers not on the same page.
Well, we talked about it coming in, Joe, as far as what Mike McCarthy and this offense will be able to do. You just don't anticipate them being able to run the ball, but yet they picked up that first down. Well, the Packers throughout the year have been very inconsistent. Sometimes it's pretty effective, but most of the time it has not been.
Here's Harris trying to get to the edge. Pretty good pickup on second down, and a penalty flag comes in. A gain of 5 on the carry. Could be a face mask. See if Willis got the face mask, and he did. Jerome Boger looking right at it. He threw the flag.
Yeah, he saw it. Good call.
On the play. It was an incidental grab. 3rd down.
So he picks up his own flag and says there's no foul, an incidental grab. How about that? So instead of a first down, it brings up 3rd and 5.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one either, Joe. But I think the Packers have got to be happy that they've gotten a little bit out of the running game. You know, to have an incomplete on first down and then second down, you get 5 yards to make this a pretty manageable 3rd down is pretty good for this Packers offense.
Rodgers going for Jones. And what a catch! In a season filled with huge catches by James Jones. A juggling grab, good for 44.
Here James Jones is at the bottom of your screen, and you're going to see the play that he's able to make. It seems that he's made these all season long. And due to the protection in the backfield, Aaron Rodgers, who was not initially looking to go to Jones, is able to buy some time.
Here's Harris cutting back. DeJuan Harris for the touchdown. So much for the Packers not being able to run it.
Oh, just an excellent job up front. You're going to see the job that T.J. Lang does securing that second level, and then the move DeJuan Harris puts on the safety, and that's an outstanding run by DeJuan Harris. And what a year he has had out of football earlier in the year, and now he's the featured back in a playoff game.
Selling cars in Jacksonville, a job that he's going to go back to. In the offseason, he has put the Packers on top. It was the catch by Jones, 44 yards to set it up. Next play, bang, touchdown Harris. Fast-paced first quarter. Packers up 7. That bottom line is such a big part of it. James Jones, a guy who had been plagued by drops the last 3 years, 20 over the last 3 seasons, only 3 all year. He's made acrobatic catches all season long. He's from San Jose, which is where the new 49ers stadium is being built. And a A guy who grew up homeless, traveling around with his mother, ended up playing football at San Jose State, third-round pick in '07, and he has blossomed into the top touchdown catcher in the NFL this season. He had 14 to lead the league, and his 44-yarder set it up.
Yeah, he's been kind of the constant for this passing game. I mean, as much time has been missed, you know, from Greg Jennings, of course, Jordy Nelson, and they've had to rely on James Jones, and he's had an outstanding year.
Kaepernick trailing again by 7. Throws, has Crabtree, and a nice catch. Good throw by Kaepernick, 15 yards and a first down.
Yeah, and you talk about outstanding years. Michael Crabtree had a career high this year. Receptions, 1,000-yard season. And a big part of that is because he's been healthy. So he gets slammed to the ground there by Tramon Williams, but he's an outstanding player. And you know, last year Vernon Davis was kind of the guy that, you know, did it all for them. This year it's been more Crabtree, especially here over the second half of the season when Kaepernick took over as the quarterback.
We're through one quarter in San Francisco. Shields with a touchdown. Kaepernick a touchdown. Harris has scored. 14-7 Pack. (14-7) Green Bay on top as we start the second quarter. First down, San Francisco at their own 35. That's Gore. Running to his right to the 40, a gain of 5. And let's go down to the field and Aaron Andrews.
Joe will have to keep an eye on left tackle Joe Staley's. It's either his right hand or his right arm. When his defense was on the field, he was on the bench in a lot of pain. He had several athletic trainers and doctors around him looking at that right arm. He's been shaking it and kind of trying to wring out whatever he's dealing with.
And he's dealing with not only a bad right arm, right hand, he's dealing with Clay Matthews out on the edge. Second down and 5. Pass is complete. Crabtree's got a first down. Had it, then gave it up for a moment. Ends up picking 9 over the left side. Morgan Burnett on the tackle.
Well, that's going to be worth keeping an eye on there with Joe Staley. I mean, going back to the first time these two teams met, Clay Matthews really had a nice game against them. Now, Greg Roman and Joe Staley evaluated the film and felt that Staley's technique was poor, and they got it corrected and feel that he'll hold up very well in this game. Of course, he's a Pro Bowl player, but if he's out there playing with one arm against Clay Matthews, an all-pro player himself, that's going to be a real disadvantage.
A first down throw from Kaepernick. Walker, it goes right through his hands. Delaney Walker, who dropped 8 of 39 targeted passes during the course of the regular season, had that fastball go right through his hands. 2nd and 10. And now the 49ers hurry it up, and for the Packers, it was Mike Daniels getting off the field in time. Kaepernick keeps it. Moses chasing him, and the play is made by the rookie Moses, a free agent out of Tulane, a gain of 3.
It's an excellent play by Desmond Moses, and it helped because of coverage. He was going to get some help from the corner on the outside, Tramon Williams, and Desmond Moses just one of many young players that have had to play this year, an undrafted guy, and they really didn't expect a lot from him when the season began, but because of so many injuries, he's been relied upon, and he's actually played well for him.
That was Vernon Davis in the slot that Hayward was pointing toward.
False start. Offense, number 85. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
There's a movement by Vernon Davis. So now 3rd and 12. Davis took over for the 49ers, as Troy said last year. during the postseason. He's been a forgotten guy in the offense for Kaepernick over the last 6 games. Passes to Gore, and on his back is Brad Jones. 4th down as this defense for Green Bay makes a play, a gain of just 3.
Yeah, so the Packers are able to get off the field again on 3rd down. Initially, it looked like Dom Capers was electing to give Randy Moss single coverage on 3rd down, but they disguised it late, gave him some help, and forced Kaepernick to come underneath on the throw.
You saw Donald Driver out there on the punt return team for Green Bay. Ross waiting deep. Lee hits it end over end. And it's muffed. And recovered by San Francisco. Last year it was a muffed punt by San Francisco that was their undoing in the NFC Championship game against the Giants, and now Green Bay's number 10. Jeremy Ross, the rookie, has it go right through his arms, recovered by Spillman.
And of course, Jeremy Ross, he's returning the punts because Randall Cobb was ineffective last week. But it's one thing not to get yardage, but the first thing you have to do is secure the catch. And for a special teams unit that has been so good throughout the year, they give the ball right back to the San Francisco 49ers.
Now 1st and goal. That's batted into the air by Clay Matthews, and then he went diving after the pick and didn't get there.
That's a great play by Clay Matthews because they had Bruce Miller in the flat, and this is just a ball that you just don't have to throw that flat. If you lay that over Clay Matthews where he's not able to get a hand on it, it's probably a touchdown. Clay Matthews, the only line of defense on that play, and as he so often does, he makes the play.
Matthews 2 tackles, a sack, and now pass breakup, 2nd and goal. Kaepernick bounces the snap. And he's brought down the backfield by Eric Walden, a loss of 4. And now 3rd and goal. Play will start outside the 10 near the 13.
Kaepernick was not anticipating that the snap was coming, and he's making a check there at the line. Jonathan Goodwin thinks that he's asking for the football, and they're fortunate to be able to get that one back.
Got to get it into the end zone. That's Crabtree, and he does.
Vernon Davis, he releases up the field. Charles Woodson goes with him, and because of that, Crabtree then on the crossing route underneath comes wide open with nobody in the middle of the field.
Both 49ers touchdowns have come on 3rd down. Akers ties it. From the mistake of Jeremy Ross. Through his arms. And eventually into the end zone. Crabtree has tied it at 14.
Today's game is sponsored by DreamWorks The Cruise. March 22nd only in theaters. By DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check.
Been a little bit of everything for Colin Kaepernick in his first playoff start. His last throw, a touchdown catch by Michael Crabtree, who has blossomed here in the 2012 season, leading over into 2013, and this is 4th year. Kaepernick, his first home interception was a pick 6, then he ran one in from 20. A touchdown pass to Crabtree has tied it. Now it's Cobb on the return. They're going to throw a flag on one of the blocks in front of Randall Cobb. A return of 24 yards, but
During the return, holding, receiving team, number 30.
they get John Kuhn guilty of a hold. So Ross still thinking about that muff punt. On the other side, celebration in a tie game.
How disappointed are you that you will not be a 49er?
Not as disappointed as the 49ers will be that they didn't draft me.
The 49ers instead selected Utah quarterback Alex Smith, first overall in 2005. Cal quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who grew up a 49er fan. Chico, California, slid all the way to number 24. The two came together. A lot of respect between Alex Smith and Aaron Rodgers. That's before tonight's game. And Aaron Rodgers, Troy, has used that famous chip on his shoulder to become a guy who's destined, it seems, to be one of the all-time greats of this game. Best quarterback rating during the regular season in the history of the NFL as DeJuan Harris carries it for 2. And the all-time best playoff quarterback rating belongs to Aaron Rodgers. Here is the penalty on John Kuhn as he got a hold of Anthony Dixon to move the ball back inside the 10.
Yeah, and it was a penalty that really wasn't necessary. That guy was not going to be a factor. Randall Cobb going to the sideline, and that's the reason now why they're backed up and where they are on the field.
Second and 8. Rodgers protected. That back shoulder throw, and it's not there, but they're going to throw a flag on the coverage. Jordy Nelson, the intended target. Coverage by Culliver.
See Chris Culliver here on the outside on Jordy Nelson, and he's got a little bit of help on the
defense.
contact right at the top of the play.
The jersey of the receiver. Spot the foul.
Chris Culliver, who
Automatic.
we've seen engaged a lot here in the early going of this game.
You can see Harbaugh saying it's not catchable. 14-yard penalty and a first down. That gets the Packers out of trouble now. Harris, not a big bodied back, gains 3. We talked to Dante Whitner about these little running backs, and he said we've had more trouble with the big backs like Marshawn Lynch, Steven Jackson of the Rams. Little guys don't usually give us trouble.
Well, it was Dante Whitner who missed the tackle on the touchdown run by DeJuan Harris.
Second and 7. Rodgers keeps it. And now throws it away. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, it was a bit of a rough week for Aaron Rodgers. While the flu spread through the Packers locker room, Rodgers developed a painful sinus infection. One concern was the effect the sinus infection might have on his voice. Since the Packers would be in shotgun a lot, Rodgers said at least in that formation, it involves a lot of nonverbal communication.
Third down and 7.
So impressive.
Rodgers has started just 2 of 6, going for a home run. It's not there, except intercepted by Terrell Brown. Nelson the intended target, and Brown on the return. Brought down inside Green Bay territory.
Well, the 49ers bring Carlos Rodgers off the edge. The Packers pick it up, but Aaron Rodgers thinks he has a shot, but he did not.
Another turnover. It belongs to Brown and the 49ers.
Today's game is sponsored by Cadillac, the standard of the world.
Aaron Rodgers throws the interception. Second turnover by the Packers. First down for Colin Kaepernick inside Green Bay territory at the 48. Gore over the left side, cuts upfield, and a nice gain on first down. C.J. Wilson on the stop, a gain of 6, back to the interception.
Well, Aaron Rodgers recognized that they were bringing pressure, so he checks protection. He got Kuhn coming across the formation. They get Carlos Rogers picked up. He's one-on-one, so he has a shot, but he just doesn't lead Jordy Nelson across the field. Instead, he leads him up the field. That's where Terrell Brown was. Not bad, because it was third down. They would be punting anyway, but they weren't able to recover and then make the tackle on Brown, and so they give up great field position.
There's a 39-yard return by Terrell Brown as Kaepernick slings it to the sideline, and Ted Ginn Jr. is brought down by Brad Jones, immediately a gain of just 2. Fox UFC Saturday returns January 26th. The championship fight as Demetrius Johnson puts his title on the line against John Dodson. Rampage Jackson returns to take on Glover Teixeira. It's not on pay-per-view, it's live, it's free, and it's only on Fox January 26th at 8 Eastern. Fox UFC Saturday is back. 3rd down and 2. The rookie James busts through the line with a first down to the 25.
Well, and that's where they've gotten all their success, running the football, Joe. Contrary to what Greg Roman thought or anticipated coming into this game, they have hit him right in the middle, right in the strength of that defensive front and where all the size is. But this 49ers offensive line doing a good job, and LaMichael James, who has been given his opportunity because of the injury to Kendall Hunter. This guy can really run.
Michael James at the top of the screen. Wide out to the left of Kaepernick. It's off the hands of Crabtree, and then he is able to knock it down before an interception. And they talk about the good fastball of Kaepernick, who was once drafted by the Chicago Cubs. Could throw a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and this one had some heat on it.
Yeah, this one only needed to be 85 miles an hour, because when you got a guy running away from you like that over the middle of the field, that ball comes upon him very quickly, and you got to give him an easier ball to catch. Had he been able to do that, Crabtree catches it and turns it into at least a decent gain.
Fake the throw, they hand to the rookie James, and he's down inside the 25. 49ers are already knocking on the door of a 100-yard day on the ground.
Well, we talked about LaMichael James, and really everybody was wondering, when were these rookies, when was he and A.J. Jenkins going to get on the field, and LaMichael James has been counted on more, as I said, because of the injury to Kendall Hunter. But he came from Oregon, and he had never even huddled before when he was at Oregon. Everything they did was a fast break offense.
3rd down and 9. 49ers 5 for 7 on 3rd down. Kaepernick makes it 6 for 8. And they're going to throw a flag. That will not cost the 49ers a first down. Spiking it in the field of play is going to get a flag, but he had already picked up the first down in the line to gain. It'll just cost the 49ers yardage.
After play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting on the offense, number 7, throwing the ball in the face of Linder. 15-yard penalty, first down.
You see the Packers go man-to-man coverage again, and there's nobody there, and that's a dangerous coverage to play when you've got a guy who can run. We saw it on the touchdown earlier in the game, and if those guys inside give any kind of running lane, he's going to pick up a lot of yardage, and just a young player's mistake at the end of that play, spiking the football.
It was a 15-yard run. It was a 15-yard penalty, so they're back where they were, but instead of 3rd down, it's 1st down. Just a 1st and 10, and Gore takes it down to the 20. Eric Walden on the tackle.
I don't think Colin Kaepernick, when he has the ball that he's looking to run, we see Joe Staley, and he's in a great deal of pain. They'll shuffle the offensive line if he's unable to go, but You wonder how long he will be able to stay in there. It's obvious he's hurting pretty good.
May have been hit by his teammate Upati, number 77. Right on that bad right arm. 2nd and 6. Kaepernick. Crabtree for the touchdown.
Michael Crabtree at the top of this route is outstanding. You're going to see good coverage, but he leans on Sam Shields right there, and that creates the separation when he comes out of that route on the post. But a perfectly thrown ball. Greg Roman talked about this being one of the throws that Kaepernick struggles with. They had it in early in this game in the red zone, thinking they could take advantage of the coverage, and he delivers an absolute strike to Crabtree.
So do you think Colin Kaepernick is over the early game jitters? He may have thrown that early interception, but he's been awfully good since.
He really has. He's been excellent seeing what they're doing defensively, running when he's had it, and that was a perfect throw for the touchdown.
Akers. Bad snap. Good hold by Lee. Back-to-back 49er touchdowns off turnovers. And now Aaron Rodgers. He'll go to work, helmet on, down by 7. Turning into a shootout here in San Francisco. And the second-year pro Colin Kaepernick has settled in, and now he's all smiles and laughter on the sideline. And the old vet, at least by comparison, Aaron Rodgers, who has started out 2 of 7 for 51 yards and an interception. And a guy now who in his postseason career has 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions after the one by Terrell Brown that led to the last 7 points. He's going to go back to the field down by 7. Cobb waiting for it. Doesn't get to touch it. And so now we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. And yeah, it was a slow start for Kaepernick, but he's come on. And now the Packers are waiting for their number 12 to get it going.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this as you look at it, I mean, these are 2 teams that did a great job throughout the regular season of protecting the football. And now the Packers, you know, with the punt return there by Jeremy Ross, the interception, they get the big return. I mean, it's been the turnovers by both of these teams that have really been the story here in this first half.
14 points off turnovers for San Francisco, up by 7. Rodgers is going to avoid the sack, lost the ball. It was knocked out by Aldon Smith, but Rodgers got back on top of it. DeJuan Harris was there as well. And Aldon Smith is the one who took it out of the arms of Rodgers, and a good break for the Packers as it bounced right back to Aaron going down on the tackle.
Yeah, really fortunate to have that ball come back into his possession, and a good play by Aldon Smith going for the ball.
Here's Harris, first down. DeJuan Harris, who is trying to do this postseason what James Starks did for the Packers when they won it all in 2010, which is basically come out of nowhere and star during the month of January.
Well, he's run the ball already better than I anticipated coming into this game.
Rodgers over the middle's got his man, and the pass is caught by Finley. He was touched on the way to the ground, and they're going to mark him at the 49. A 20-yard completion on a rocket.
Jermichael Finley, he comes off the ball. He's running the seam route. Patrick Willis is in pretty good position, but Aaron Rodgers, you know, really puts it in a good spot. And Jermichael Finley is able to haul it in.
Yeah, that ball was tipped, and for a guy who gets criticized for drops, that was a nice catch. And they're going to throw a flag at the end of the play, maybe on that tackle.
Yeah, I thought Deshaun Goldson came in late. It looked to me, Joe, and I think that's who they got with the penalty.
Harris carried it for 4, and let's take a look. And it's for that.
Well, both these safeties for the 49ers, as you see, I mean, he was stopped. He wasn't all the way to the ground, but it wasn't necessary for Goldson. You know, at a time when you're trying to protect these players, but now they're going to huddle and they're going to discuss it.
They picked up one flag that was on a face mask.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense. Helmet to helmet contact on a ball carrier being driven backwards. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's a good call.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there's the pile. He's not going anywhere. The play essentially is over, and he comes in late. It was a pretty easy call to make, and a penalty that adds 15 yards and now puts the Packers in great field position.
First down at the 31. Out of the backfield, Harris. He tries to get around Whitner again. That's who he faked on the touchdown run, a gain of 6.
Dwan Harris, of course, last week didn't do a whole lot running the football, but he was big in their checkdowns underneath with the soft coverage that the Minnesota Vikings played, and we talked about it. We've seen it in this game. He's a guy that's got good moves. He's got good speed, and another great find by general manager Ted Thompson.
Didn't catch a pass all during the regular season. Had 5 last week. And they're going to whistle this play dead. It's against the 49ers. Rodgers wanted a free play, and he didn't get it. Aldon Smith came across.
Unabated to the quarterback. Defense, number 94. 5-yard penalty, resulting in a first down.
It wasn't just 94, a couple guys. It was Smith and Smith, Aldon and Justin.
Yeah, well, Justin Smith's upset with himself because they're not watching the ball. Aaron Rodgers is in silent count, and that's how sophisticated these offenses have gotten, that even when you're not able to use hard count with your voice, you can still disrupt the defensive pass rush by not making the snap rhythmic.
On first down, Rodgers over the middle's got a man, touchdown, James Jones. And that's an answer from Aaron Rodgers, the reigning MVP. Jones, who had that 44-yarder earlier to set up the first touchdown. Offensive touchdown is good from 20 yards out for the touchdown.
Well, James Jones is going to start flat towards Navarro Bowman, and when he does start flat, it makes those safeties think that he's not going to continue vertically, but he does. He takes it to the middle of the field. Aaron Rodgers read it beautifully.
Is that something called, or you think that happens on the field?
No, it's a design play, and it's well executed based on the scheme of the 49ers.
Touchdown, Rodgers, Jones, tied at 21. The shootout continues here in San Francisco, tied at 21. Plenty of time for the 49ers. 2 timeouts and 2.5 minutes left.
Watch how James Jones comes flat, and that holds then the safety here. He thinks that he's going to continue across the field. He's not going to give help, but then he takes the middle of the field, and it's just a well-designed pass route by the Packers, and James Jones is able to score another touchdown. I mean, he is, as you said, he's had a lot of them this year. 14 in the regular season. He's had 2 in this game, and just been very, very dependable throughout the year.
He's become notorious around the league for talking to himself loud enough for defensive players to hear him as he tries to stay focused and pump himself up during the course of the game. But he has really stepped forward for the Packers. We're tied, and Crosby will kick it away. 49ers will have their drive start at the 20, and we find out from Kurt what's coming up at halftime.
It's definitely the playoffs. A crazy double overtime finish in Denver has the Ravens heading to the AFC Championship game once again. We'll take you inside the Baltimore locker room, and our own Jamie Maggio is there to talk to the winners. Plus, our guys break down the first half of this game. All that coming up on the Visa Halftime.
Strahan's on his phone, texting Kelly Ripa. They're going to talk about on Monday morning. Starting from the 20. Blitz coming from the Packers. Kaepernick keeps it, trying to outrace Brad Jones. And Jones played it pretty well, a gain of just 2.
Well, Mike Upati, the left guard, Clay Matthews is going to try to rush inside here, and the left guard just puts Clay Matthews on his back.
He's going to his first Pro Bowl. Part of this healthy, big, good offensive line, but they're worried, they have to be, about the health of Joe Staley out at left tackle. Blitz. Kaepernick comes free. Has a first down and more. Out of bounds near the 40. Hayward came on a blitz, and Kaepernick turned it into a 20-yard gain.
Yeah, Ted Ginn Jr. at the end of this run, he's the wide receiver who's blocking Sam Shields, I believe, and Sam's trying to get away from him, and it looked initially like they might get Ginn for a penalty or for holding, but no flag on the play.
2 minutes left, opening half. A good game, tied at 21. After a good one in the AFC earlier today, good one in the NFC. Ball at the 42, first down for the 49ers. 2 minutes left in the first half. 2 timeouts on the scoreboard for San Francisco. Kaepernick, who has 221 total yards, 3 touchdowns. He's rushed it 9 times for 80 yards, which is an NFL postseason record for a quarterback already. On first down, Kaepernick. Davis, and it was undercut by Burnett. Looking for Vernon Davis, who had 10 catches last postseason.
Well, this is a ball that, again, is just too flat by Kaepernick. If he was able to lay that over the top, Vernon Davis was past him. And one of the few times really in recent weeks that Davis has gotten single coverage with no help and on a route where he could have gotten the ball to him. And you talk about Kaepernick and the yards that he's had rushing, most of those have not been designed runs. Instead, they've been scrambles. Packers have done a good job in coverage when they've gone man, but they've not been able to account for Kaepernick on the scrambles.
On second down, pass is caught by Delaney Walker. Now the officials are going to get together and talk about it. Let's take another look. They're going to say incomplete. And it looked like the arm of Delaney Walker, by the time he corralled it right there, comes down out of bounds.
Wow, that was really close, too. And pretty good coverage overall by Casey Hayward. That was just an outstanding throw.
Is that we have a catch.
One official said incomplete, the other says catch. But that play is going to be under review under 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know how they wouldn't review it. You know, upstairs, considering it is under 2 minutes, but that was a great throw by Colin Kaepernick, putting it really where it had to be. And Delaney Walker, you know, looked initially like he had it, but you're right, as he goes down, the ball looks like it moves, and his hand, it didn't look to me, Joe, like it was under the ball.
Well, his arm comes down out of bounds anyway. Either way you look at it, it's a booth review, but that right arm came down. It looked like right on the boundary. The 2 officials got together, talked about it. They disagreed. The one who said catch overruled the other, but they're looking at it under the hood as we're under 2 minutes in the half. Great effort by Delaney Walker, and his arm comes down out of bounds.
Well, if he catches that clean, then it's a relatively easy reception for him. Yeah, but you see the right arm. Yeah, the right arm looked like it came down on the line, the sideline there, before his feet and knees did.
By the way, we're getting word that back in Los Angeles, Mike Pereira, our rules expert, believes that it's an incomplete pass. And the whole road show now moves back toward midfield. They showed it on the replay board here in San Francisco. We'll get the call here momentarily from Boger. Play was 2nd and 10 at the San Francisco 42. If it's incomplete, it'll be 3rd and 10 back there. And it looks like it will be ruled incomplete.
After reviewing the play, it is an incomplete pass. The receiver's hand touched out of bounds. Incomplete. The ball will be returned to the 42-yard line. 3rd down.
So now with 1:48 remaining, the ball back to the 42, and the 18-yard catch is taken off the board. Initially ruled good for Delaney Walker.
Well, big 3rd down here for the Packers. You're looking at 3rd and 10 overall. The 49ers have been good on this down, but if they make a stop, then they're able to give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers with plenty of time on the clock and a chance to come away with some points before the end of the half.
Blitz coming. 49ers try and pick it up, and there's Kaepernick again. 1st down, out of bounds at the 40.
Well, Joe, I just don't understand what Dom Capers is doing. We've seen it throughout this first half. They go man coverage, and they're doing a good job in coverage, but there's nobody there in the middle for Colin Kaepernick, and that's the problem with man coverage. I mean, it's one thing if you do that against a quarterback that doesn't run, but Kaepernick has, and he has beaten them with that throughout this first half.
98 yards rushing for Kaepernick in this first half. 1st down at the 40. The pass, sliding catch by James. And they're going to mark him down inside the 35. Clock continues to wind, but plenty of time left for the 49ers with 2 timeouts. That was a big conversion on 3rd and 10. On 2nd and 3, James has got a 1st down. Walden on the tackle. We talked to Kaepernick about how teams have tried to defend against him and his running ability since he took over. He said some teams spy me, they'll leave a guy back waiting for me to take off.
Yeah, the Packers have not used a spy when they brought pressure, and if you don't get home, that's what you're giving up.
Here's another blitz. Kaepernick goes to the end zone, incomplete for Ginn.
And there's really nothing more frustrating, for a defense. And you lock up man-to-man outside and you do a good job, and then you're just hopeful that when you bring the pressure that they're able to get home, and if they're not, then hopefully those rush lanes don't open up. But we've seen throughout this first half they have, and Kaepernick has shown tremendous poise. You're right, Joe. I mean, his start to this game was obviously very tough. He throws the interception to Shields, it's returned for a touchdown, but since then he has settled in very well here in this first half.
And you would have to think that'll be an adjustment at halftime for Dom Capers.
Absolutely. Should have been already.
And now with the clock stopped, the 49ers have to use a timeout with the play clock winding down. We'll take a break. Quick timeout, 2nd down and 10. Only 1 timeout remaining now with 40 seconds. Ball at the 27. They're in field goal range for one of 2 kickers in this game who struggled during the regular season. Kaepernick. Another one dropped by Walker. His 2nd drop of this first half. 3rd and 10.
Yeah, another good throw. We see David Akers, and He was in competition this week with Billy Cundiff as far as who was going to be the kicker, as we see it go through Delaney Walker's hands. And Mason Crosby on the other side, he seems to have gotten out of his slump. He's made his last 5, but if this comes down to a kicking game, which oftentimes it does, it's anybody's guess. Third down and 10, Kaepernick taking it. And Kaepernick is going to be knocked down short of a first down. He gained 9. Brad Jones made the stop. And now with 4th down, the 49ers can let the clock wind down and try and get the lead before half. And it'll be up to Akers. As Troy said, in a kicking competition during the week with Billy Cundiff, who was brought in, signed on the 1st of January. Akers outlasted him. And for a guy who set an NFL record last year for field goals made, he has been inconsistent at best. His kick when we come back. No kicker missed more field goals this year than David Akers, a 6-time Pro Bowl kicker. Had a record-setting year last year. 36-yard try for a halftime lead. And Mike McCarthy is going to let him think about it.
Timeout, Green Bay. They're first. This is a 30-second timeout.
You and I talked about it, Troy, many times during Packer games with Mason Crosby struggling. It's one thing to kick well in practice. When the spotlight is on for something as delicate as what these guys do for a living, you know, it becomes as much mental as it is physical for a guy who revealed he tweaked that sports hernia he had surgery on back in February. He did the tweaking in November.
Well, the last game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals, the 2 misses that David Akers had in that game were both pushed wide left.
.36 yards, and he is perfect. They stuck with him, and before half, David Akers good from 36. Visa halftime is coming up. What a game in this divisional round. 49ers up by 3. How about David Akers in the midst of all those bodies dancing around at halftime? He's trying to warm up.
He's got enough things on his mind to worry about besides whether he can warm up before we start this second half.
His 36-yarder has the 49ers on top at the start of the second half. You can follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. How about Colin Kaepernick in his first NFL playoff start? Responsible for 255 of the 49ers' 313 yards in the first half. 2 touchdown passes, 1 rushing touchdown. Meanwhile, the guy who really blossomed, Troy, is the big weapon for the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers does not have any yardage today on the ground or receiving, just 16 return yards.
Yeah, you do see him back here, though, returning this kick, and I'm sure he'll be returning punts the rest of the way, too.
He's got that flu bug that a lot of the Packers have been dealing with during the week. He's got some room to run right up the middle. Cut it out to his right. Knocked down at the 26 by Delaney Walker. 27-yard return. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Mike McCarthy watched a couple of those Colin Kaepernick runs and just shook his head. He said, first and foremost, we have got to keep him in the pocket. Adjustment-wise, he's thinking technique changes and bringing a little bit more pressure. Look for special teams on special teams, rather. Randall Cobb, as you noted, will be doing all of the duty. It looks like Jeremy Ross's day is done. Back to you.
After a muff punt that led directly to a 49er touchdown. DeJuan Harris over the right side. And well played, a gain of just 1. Let's go down to the field again. Here's Aaron Andrews.
Joe had a chance to speak with Jim Harbaugh coming out of the half, and he told me he wasn't surprised that Colin Kaepernick was able to regain his composure after throwing that pick six early in the game. He said defensively, how do you win a shootout against Aaron Rodgers? Keep him off the field, keep running the ball, and also the team that makes the most tackles is going to win this one tonight.
Aaron, thanks. Josh Sitton just left the field, and so they have to shuffle up front. On the offensive line, Sitton an issue with his left shoe. On 2nd and 8. It's Harris right side. Doing the most he can with it. A gain of 3. Goldson on the stop, and we look at the stats from the first half of play. And you look at the difference in time of possession, just overall plays, just dominated by the 49ers.
Well, it sure was, and they just have not allowed Aaron Rodgers because they haven't had the ball. I mean, they haven't allowed him to get in any type of rhythm, and I talked about it. Dewan Harris ran the ball much better in that first half than you would expect. 49ers have been outstanding stopping the run. They start this second half and do a better job defensively against the run than they did in that first half.
Jeff Saturday back in the lineup with Sitton out, and down goes Aaron Rodgers. And it's Patrick Willis who got him. Jeff Saturday was back in at center with Evan Dietrich Smith at guard with Sitton out. And the sack for Patrick Willis.
Yeah, and John Kuhn, you see, he's in the game. He's their third down back. He's the best guy they have in pass protection, but Patrick Willis defeats the block and makes the play on Rodgers.
Mastay hits the punt. Fair catch. Called for and made cleanly by Ted Ginn Jr. Take a break, come back. Colin Kaepernick. What a first half he had. Back to work.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. By DreamWorks The Croods, March 22nd only in theaters. And by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time.
City Hall all lit up in 49ers colors as they come to a line at their 35, up by 3. Here's Gore right side. Not much there. Well defensed up front by Green Bay. Gain of 2. A.J. Hawk was in the middle of that on the stop. And here are the offensive leaders for the 49ers. The early pick 6 thrown by Kaepernick. But you see what he's done through the air and on the ground. And we'll see if the strategy changes against Kaepernick here in the second half, who was basically the forgotten guy when he would pull it down to run it on pass plays in the first half.
Well, we heard Pam Oliver say that Mike McCarthy wanted to bring more pressure. If they do, they just got to make sure they have someone accounting for Kaepernick.
Kaepernick keeps it down the sideline. He's got Moss, but overthrew it. Covered downfield by Shields.
That ball's thrown out towards the sideline and out of bounds. Had he been able to lead Randy Moss, you see him with the right arm there. A little bit of a veteran move. Sam Shields is one of the few guys. Of course, Randy Moss doesn't run like he once did, but Sam Shields is one of the few guys that can run stride for stride with Randy Moss, a guy who started his career as a wide receiver. He's got great speed. He's in a pretty good position there on Moss.
49ers have run 30 more plays offensively than the Packers have in this game. They lead by 3. Third down. Kaepernick fires and the pass incomplete. Woodson made the play on Vernon Davis.
They give Vernon Davis a free release, but he's locked up in man coverage with Charles Woodson, and Woodson lays out and trying to make a play on that ball. Gets a hand on it. Vernon Davis not able to then make the catch, but a good defensive stop, but one that was really needed by that Packers defense.
Yeah, that's the first 3 and out they're forced in this game. 49ers had at least 1 first down in all 7 of their first half possessions. Line drive punt. And it drives Cobb over to the sideline, and nice play made downfield by Spillman. 51-yard punt, nothing on the return. Thanks to C.J. Spillman. Good tackle. Packers have it down 3. Second possession of the second half. Cobb and Jordy Nelson shut out so far tonight.
Yeah, well, nobody's really had a lot of catches. They've only had 5 for the entire game combined.
Starting at the 11. That's Jennings. Gave up some yardage after the catch. A gain of just 2. Ahmad Brooks on the stop.
Yeah, of course, came into the game talking about Justin Smith and how effective he was going to be in this game, and clearly this is a defense that is a different defense when he's on the field. And he hasn't made a lot of plays yet in this game, but he draws a lot of attention and opens things up for the other guys.
They get Cobb in the slot. Rodgers down the middle's got Jennings. And the completion to Greg Jennings. He was covered, but adjusted on the throw, and that was almost indefensible. Good for 30.
Well, Marshall Newhouse does a good job on Justin Smith, and you're right, Joe. I mean, this is good coverage by the 49ers. It's just a great throw to the back shoulder to Greg Jennings. Carlos Rodgers had him perfectly, but it's just you can't defense a perfect ball.
Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, as the first completion to Nelson is good for 9. Fangio called Aaron Rodgers, Dan Marino in the pocket with that quick release that we saw on the touchdown. There's Vic. Steve Young out of the pocket with what he can do with his legs. That's about as good a combination as you can come up with.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that.
Cobb in the backfield on 2nd and 1. That's Nelson. Back to back to Jordy Nelson. And Troy, just when you start to forget about some of these guys, Jordy Nelson was shut out until this drive. This is an offense that spreads it around better than any team in the NFL.
Yeah, they really do, and you can't go to sleep on anyone. I mean, James Jones has been the big guy through the first half. Jordy Nelson starting to get some action, but Greg Jennings, he'll jump up and bite you too.
Cobb out of the backfield's got some room to run. And Randall Cobb chips in with his first big play down inside the 25. Good for 19 yards.
They started the season off in week 1 with Randall Cobb in the backfield, and Vic Fangio talked about some of the problems that presents as to how they set coverage, how are they going to handle him. This time he doesn't come out as a receiver, but they just hand it to him on the running game.
They do it again. A nice gain on first down as he gets 4. Cobb in that week 1 matchup had 9 catches, 77 yards. During the regular season, carried it 10 times for 132. It's 2nd and 6. Fake it to Cobb. Rodgers throws it over the head of Nelson. Pressure by Ahmad Brooks forced Rodgers to throw it away.
They've been going no huddle. You see Aaron Rodgers there tell everybody that they want to huddle and regroup and see what they're going to do here on 3rd down, trying to get the ball down the middle to Jermichael Finley, but good coverage and then pressure on Rodgers.
They need a timeout. Third down and 6 for the Packers, down by 3 when we come back. Patrick Willis on the sideline on 3rd down and 6. And now 3rd and 11 as Newhouse started too early.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
You see Marshall Newhouse out here at left tackle. He's the one who moves early, and the reason that Patrick Willis is on the sidelines is because Vic Fangio has decided to go with 6 defensive backs. He has not done that a lot in this game, mostly 5 defensive backs. But Paris Cox then becomes the extra defender.
You're looking at about a 41-yard field goal from this spot. It's 3rd and 11. Floated for Cobb. And Cobb won't get there, lost the ball. It's recovered by Green Bay. Cobb was stretching as if to get the extra yardage for a 1st down. The ball came out as Cobb exposed the football. May have been down anyway. And James Jones was standing there. See who came up with the ball. His knee looked like it might have been down anyway.
Yeah, it looked like his right knee was on the ground, Joe, before the ball came out, but because of pressure in the face of Aaron Rodgers, he couldn't deliver a good ball to Cobb. Had he have been able to do that, Cobb might have been able to just get vertical and pick that 1st down up.
Everything we said about David Akers applies to Mason Crosby. A frustrating year, and he got it. Bends it inside the right upright. Akers 1 for 1. Crosby the same. Tied at 24. Mason Crosby's 31-yard field goal ties this game on the drive. Aaron Rodgers 5 of 6. Under 8.5 to go, 3rd quarter, tied at 24. The winner moves on to take on the winner of the Seahawks-Falcons game, which is tomorrow right here on Fox. 5-seeded Seahawks against the number 1 seeded Atlanta Falcons. 4th tie of the game. And this drive will start at the 20. Believe it or not, this is the 6th time these 2 teams have met in the postseason since '95. There's the 1 win for the 49ers. Steve Young to Terrell Owens, the 30-27 win in '98. They called it the catch part 2. Last year was the catch part 3 with Vernon Davis. Kaepernick to Crabtree. What a combo. Spun out of bounds by Tramon Williams, a gain of 18.
Well, we've talked about this matchup on the outside with Joe Staley and the challenge that he had prior to getting injured, but the fact that he's hung in there has been impressive. And then there's that throw to Michael Crabtree. Good coverage by Tramon Williams, but just another well-thrown ball, and Crabtree expecting it to be back shoulder. It was, and you just can't defense it.
He had only 1 catch, Crabtree, in last year's NFC Championship game. For 3 yards against the Giants. Different story this year. In this game, in this season. There he is again. Out wide to the left, gain 6. When every play matters, turn to NFL Mobile. For coverage of every NFL game, call ** NFL to get it for just $5 all month long.
Of course, Michael Crabtree coming out of Texas Tech, where he had a great collegiate career, and his quarterback there with Mike Leach was Graham Harrell, who's the backup on the other sideline with Aaron Rodgers.
Second down and 4. Kaepernick keeps it. Fooled everybody. Colin Kaepernick. What a game. Touchdown.
See Eric Walden out here. He collapses, and I'm not sure he knows that Colin Kaepernick has the ball yet. Yeah, he's running around, and then Charles Woodson, he's unable to get there to help. Colin Kaepernick, I mean, what he has done running the football has been amazing in this game.
Kaepernick, good from 56 yards away. He's thrown it for 172 and 2 touchdowns. Now he's run it for 163 and 2 touchdowns. What a day. Making Jim Harbaugh look like a genius. 49ers up 7. Well, if you're just joining us, the day for Colin Kaepernick on his second throw of the game went for an interception returned for a touchdown by Sam Shields. Since that moment, Colin Kaepernick has settled in, and it's got my broadcast partner Troy Aikman shaking his head. His first playoff start. Outside of that early hiccup, it could not be going any better for Kaepernick. Cobb will take a knee.
Yeah, he told us it was just another game, and he's played like it. You're going to see here Eric Walden there, but then Brad Jones should scrape. Somebody has to account for the quarterback. Instead, both those guys take the dive man. Kaepernick keeps it, and nobody is there. It's what's hurt this defense throughout the year, especially in run defense, where they've just not played their responsibilities. And how you let Kaepernick continue to run the ball the way he has is mind-boggling to me. Now, that time it was a designed run. For the most part, his rushes have come from scrambles versus the man coverage.
Career best run, by the way, 56 yards for Kaepernick, and now running for his life is Aaron Rodgers with Willis on his back.
Eric Willis, Patrick Willis, he comes on the blitz right in the middle, and somebody should be picking that up too.
Only been sacked once. Been hit 8 times, 2nd and 10. Rodgers. Crabtree drops it. And Rodgers ends up on his back. 3rd and 10.
Well, they're getting some of those looks that gave the Packers problems, you know, for much of the early part of this season, as far as the 2 deep looks and then having to work the middle of the field. You see at the end of this play, Aaron Rodgers going to the ground. You said it, he's been under pressure, and Crabtree unable to make the catch to at least make this a manageable 3rd down.
See if they come after Rodgers again. A stunt up front. Rodgers escapes and now shows what he can do. He's got a 1st down for Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers, with his legs, can make plays as well. Good for 17.
Well, Aaron Rodgers returns the favor because Vic Fangio, he goes man coverage like the Packers had been doing, and Aaron Rodgers, as we know, he can run too, and so nobody accounting for him, and a wise decision on his part, taking what he had and picking up the 1st down.
17 yards on 3rd and 10. Here's Cobb out of the backfield, gets around Bowman, makes it to the 40, a gain of 3.
These linebackers, Joe, for the 49ers are so good. Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman both going to the Pro Bowl, and rightfully so. And you know, they're physical players, especially Bowman, for a guy who's no bigger than he is. But they allow them then to do a lot of things in coverage. And as you saw, that time he was locked up with Randall Cobb coming out of the backfield.
Little flip to Cobb, and Ricky Jean-Francois brings down Cobb after a gain of 1.
You know, there was a period during this season when Greg Jennings was down and Jordy Nelson was having some hamstring issues, and of course James Jones had his year, but Randall Cobb was the guy who they were featuring. They were putting him in the slot, put him in the backfield, then they were able to at least balance some things out when they got healthy. But since the start, they've gone Cobb a lot now here in the backfield.
Third down and 6. Pass is broken up. Goldson came in and made the play. Jermichael Finley, the intended target.
Well, they show that two-deep look that they've been running, but they give a disguise, and so they drop Deshaun Goldson, and he's going to be right then in front of Jermichael Finley where he's trying to go with the football. Good job of coverage and disguising the look by the 49ers.
Linebacker Bowman was there as well. Fair catch. Hauled in by Ted Ginn Jr. inside the 10. Fox UFC Saturday returns January 26th. The championship fight. Demetrius Johnson puts his title on the line against John Dodson. Rampage Jackson returns to take on Glover Teixeira. It's not on pay-per-view, it's live, it's free, and it's only on Fox. January 26th at 8 Eastern. Fox UFC Saturday is back. 5 minutes left, third quarter, and this drive will start at the 7. 49ers up by 7. Here's Gore, not a huge factor in the game to this point. Gets 3. Pickett on the stop.
The 49ers backed up for the most part. They've started most of their possessions with pretty good field position, and for a defense in the Green Bay Packers that really improved from where they were a year ago. This 49ers offense, of course, with the legs of Colin Kaepernick, with 4 minutes to play here in the third quarter, almost 400 yards of offense.
Pickett, who was shaken up early, hurt on that play when Shields had the interception for the touchdown, made the tackle on that carry by Gore, and now they stop play and help him off the field. It'll be 2nd down and 7. This Green Bay defense needs a stop. Last year, last ranked in the NFL. They've jumped up to the 11th best defense in the NFL this season. They've been shredded by Colin Kaepernick. 2nd and 7. Handoff is to Gore. Gore is knocked down at the 15, a gain of 5.
Well, the 49ers offensively have dominated third down in this game. And they're going to be looking at a 3rd and 2, and you're right, Joe, for the Packers defensively, they've been on the field a lot, but if they're able to make a stop here, they would give the ball back to their offense with good field position, something they've really not had a lot of in this game.
Third down and 2. Kaepernick. Pass is caught. There's Crabtree again. What a night for Crabtree.
And what a night for Joe Staley. I mean, he hangs in there and does a good job on Clay Matthews, and you're going to see the route by Michael Crabtree. Just an excellent job of setting Tramon Williams up, making him think he's going to go deep or to the post, and then he runs it to the corner and gets Tramon Williams turned around. That's just an excellent job by Michael Crabtree on the route.
See the numbers after a career year, a 105-yard receiving day already. Here's Gore covering up the football. And over the right side, he gets 4. Jay Hawk on the stop.
Yeah, Crabtree finished the regular season with a big game against the Arizona Cardinals, and he just is continuing it here in this game.
Two and a half to go, third quarter, 2nd and 6. Packers could not get that stop on 3rd and 2. Kaepernick looking for Davis, and they're going to call Tramon Williams, who was in coverage on Vernon Davis, and it's a hold against Williams.
They're going to double move Tramon Williams. He bites, and then he gets a hold, and it's a good penalty because there was no help.
Pass, holding, defense, number 38, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
I know Mike McCarthy doesn't like the penalty, but I think he understands it was a good one because otherwise it's a touchdown for the 49ers.
5-yard penalty puts it at the 39. Low snap. Good job by Kaepernick just to get it to Frank Gore. Gain of 1.
The 49ers, they give you so many different looks, and they do so many things within their running game, and you work on those things, and they have had success doing it. And then when you start overloading, trying to stop the run, then you get those one-on-one matchups that they've been able to take advantage of. They've been able to hit some things like we saw, and then we've seen, because of that man coverage, Colin Kaepernick take advantage of it with his feet.
2nd down and 9. Pump fake. Davis. What a throw. First down at the 15.
Vernon Davis, he comes off the ball. He's essentially running a seam route. You got A.J. Hawk, who's trying to keep up with him. I mean, he does as good a job as he can do. Vernon Davis, one of the fastest guys on the field at his size, and Colin Kaepernick couldn't walk it down the field and hand it to him any better than that.
First catch is a 44-yard completion from Kaepernick, and the first catch for Vernon Davis. Kaepernick 395 total yards from scrimmage. Here's Gore down inside the 5. And the 49ers can let the clock expire and set up 1st and goal at the start of the 4th quarter.
Yeah, well, we talked to Greg Roman, and he was hired by Dom Capers there in Carolina, and he says, I know that defense, I know what he likes to do, and Greg Roman has called an outstanding game for Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers.
That man, Greg Roman, may not be around long for Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers, a head coaching candidate. 4th quarter when we come back after this from your local Fox station. It is the postseason coming out party for Colin Kaepernick. Meanwhile, at the end of the 3rd quarter, Michael Crabtree got into it with the Packers defense, and Vernon Davis, Ryan Pickett. If anything got into a bad situation for Crabtree, Anthony Davis was there, the big right tackle, to step in between. But now it's 1st and goal from the 2. And the 49ers are knocking on a 500-yard day offensively against the Packers defense. 1st and goal. Gore gets it and powers his way in for the touchdown.
Offensive line's big enough. Then they bring in an extra lineman in Daniel Kilgore, and you see Frank Gore, once contact is made, he keeps moving the pile, and not a whole lot of teams able to stop this offense when they get the ball down here and they decide to run it.
Morgan Burnett just got plowed through by Frank Gore. And for the 49ers, their all-time franchise leader in rushing touchdowns, Frank Gore. He's made it a 2-touchdown game at 38-24. And as we welcome you back inside our broadcast booth in what has really been an exciting game from the beginning, now we're going to see the focus go to Aaron Rodgers. And while we talked about it the last time we were on camera, here we go, down by 14 points. It's up to Rodgers.
Well, I certainly wouldn't bet against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's one of the best in the business, as we know, and he's got plenty of weapons to try to get the ball to. But the 49ers have done a good job. A very, very difficult defense to score points against. They're one of the best in football throughout the regular season. This is going to be a real challenge, but they'll up the tempo as best they can and try to get some snaps, run.
Jim Harbaugh, when he came here from Stanford, brought with him two coordinators. Greg Roman on offense, who was the running game coordinator at Stanford, and Vic Fangio on defense. Fangio, who somehow is not in the conversation for potential head coach with all these vacancies out there, has shaped this defense into one that's allowed under 16 points per game over the last 2 years. And so Harbaugh, while it seems pretty sure he's going to keep Fangio, may lose this guy, Greg Roman, to either Jacksonville or some other destination, because he's one of the real fresh, intriguing minds this game has in it.
He's been outstanding today. Vic Fangio's been outstanding as well for the last 2 years for this 49ers defense. Dante Whitner said, I'm glad he's not interviewing. They would hate to lose him, but he's certainly deserving of an opportunity.
This is Cobb, a bobble. So the timing of the play is off, and now Will Hoyt makes the tackle at the 11. A good one coming up tomorrow here on Fox in Atlanta. That's tomorrow. Coverage begins at noon Eastern right here on Fox. Up to Aaron Rodgers now. Pass is complete. That's Jennings. And on first down, Jennings good for 6. Navarro Bowman out there to make the stop.
Yeah, that was a good job of Aaron Rodgers recognizing it and throttling him down, because Bowman read it the entire way, and that could have been quite a collision.
2nd and 4, another completion. This time it's Finley, first down, and Finley was supposed to be a big part of the attack today for the Green Bay Packers. He has been held relatively quiet by the San Francisco defense. 2 catches, 28 yards. Rodgers, Jennings, spun around by Carlos Rodgers. Gain of 5.
Just based on the way San Francisco wants to play them, they don't want to single up on the outside if they can keep from doing that. So they're playing the safeties deep, playing them wide, and the middle of the field is where they have to win, whether that's with Jermichael Finley or Cobb.
Here's Finley. Finley gets popped at the end of the play. First guy there was Ahmad Brooks. He missed the initial tackle, a gain of 2. So 3rd down coming up for the Packers, down 14. Nelson's got a first down. Jordy Nelson shut out in the first half. A little more active second half. A gain of 9.
See the route on the outside. A good job by Jordy Nelson, even with Chris Culliver having some help by the safety and able to jump that and play really tight coverage. It just wasn't going to be enough.
Jordy was inactive for 4 games this season with hamstring issues, a knee issue, and lately an ankle. Play action. Rodgers gets rid of it. Out of the pocket, got it past the line of scrimmage. Pressure by Patrick Willis.
Well, Aaron, they're trying to get him on the edge, and Patrick Willis was not fooled at all. And you know, as I said, one of the most athletic defensive players in all of football, and there's no way Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to outrun him.
Rodgers with a career record of 5-2 during the postseason. On second down, Rodgers just pushes it to Harris. And DeJuan Harris knocked down just shy of midfield by Willis.
What's interesting about that play, Joe, is DeJuan Harris was actually in protection, and he got tied up with the rest of the pressure inside, and rather than block, he just decided to go out, and Rodgers found him. I'm not sure how.
3rd down and 4. This one is floated for Jennings off his hands. Rodgers had him, and Greg Jennings got his hands on it, could not bring it in.
It was close, almost a great play. Jennings was turned one way, and Rodgers threw it back the other way, and he was able to turn around, still locate the ball, and just off his fingertips.
11.5 to go in the game. Again, waiting for it. And it's touched by Jared Bush inside the 10. So close to a big play from Greg Jennings. 14-point game in San Francisco.
Today's game is sponsored by Nissan, innovation that excites. By Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And by Subway. Subway catering is fresh, easy, and affordable. Subway, cater fresh.
We said coming in that the 49ers season would be judged on what happened tonight, and if they are to make it to the NFC Championship game next weekend. Because of the switch from Alex Smith to Colin Kaepernick, the team that was really a play away from the Super Bowl a year ago, made that dynamic switch at quarterback after 9 games. It happened initially because of injury, but Kaepernick never gave up the job, and Troy, he's shown what he can do with his legs and his arm.
Yeah, of course, the aspirations for the 49ers are a lot higher than just making it to the championship game, which they did a year ago. But there was a bit of an unknown with Colin Kaepernick coming into this game as to how was he going to perform. Didn't look too good at the start. But, man, he has settled in, and the job he's done throwing the football, more importantly, running the football, has been sensational.
2nd down and 5. Kaepernick keeps it. Gets a block from Miller as fullback, and Colin Kaepernick adds to his rushing totals. He's good for 16, and he's closing in on a 200-yard game on the ground.
And I think the interesting part of all this, Joe, was last week when Minnesota had to go with Joe Webb in that playoff game, and the Packers really felt that that was going to help them as they prepared for Colin Kaepernick and the things that they do offensively, and obviously it hasn't.
Most yards by quarterback in a single game all time. 49ers are watching Colin Kaepernick, who hands to Gore here. You can see on that previous play, Clay Matthews, one of the game's best linebackers, was completely fooled by the fake by Kaepernick, pulling it out of the gut of Frank Gore and keeping it and going right around him. There's that play, and the 16-yard carry. Matthews is completely spun around by Kaepernick.
Well, it was Eric Walden earlier, so he's in good company.
2nd and 8. 21 yards shy of a 200-yard day rushing for Kaepernick. 2nd and 8. Good protection, wide open Walker. And Delaney Walker with a sliding catch. Out across the 45. And the 49ers over 500 yards on the day.
Good job by Delaney Walker making that catch, Joe. But you go back to the decision by Jim Harbaugh. And how about Jim Harbaugh and the job that he's done, even going back to San Diego, of developing quarterbacks at the University of San Diego. Certainly Andrew Luck at Stanford. Last year, Alex Smith. And then this year, Colin Kaepernick. And that's the key. And you wonder why Harbaugh's been so successful. He's gotten the most out of the quarterbacks wherever he's been.
Here's Gore gashing this Green Bay defense down inside the 30. And the Packers can't stop anything right now. That good for 26 yards.
And this offensive line, we came into the game talking about them and how big and physical and athletic they are, and they're continuing to impose their will on this defensive front. I can assure you this offensive line is the envy of virtually every coach in the NFL. And the 49ers have invested time. More importantly, they've invested high draft picks, 3 first-rounders of that group, and it pays off.
How about that? The 49ers postseason record with their total yards, and the postseason around here for the San Francisco 49ers, one of the best in the history of the game, as Gore sticks his head down and gets it close to the 25, a gain of 2 yards.
You know, and we talked about the Packers and, you know, kind of the struggles that they had early in the year. A number of key guys going down, having to rely on young players. And through it all, Dom Capers kind of held it together. And they have been a much improved defense from where they were a year ago, as you stated earlier, Joe. But, boy, the 49ers have made it look awfully easy.
Second down and 8. Toss to James running left. They're going to get a hold on the edge with Bruce Miller, the fullback. He had a hold of Clay Matthews. So this one's coming back.
That was pretty easy calls. You see Clay Matthews trying to get off of him, and
number 49,
the grab right there at the end of the play.
10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
Matthews helped sell it. The offensive line, you said it, 3 first-round picks up front with Staley, Upati, and Anthony Davis. They've been healthy all year. We saw Staley get nicked up earlier, but he's been really gritting his teeth and getting through this game, and they've done an unbelievable job.
Well, Alex Boone is the smallest of the bunch, and he's 6'8" and 300 pounds.
Second and 19. Kaepernick keeps it. And like we talked about with RG3 last week, he makes the defense play. Where is the football? Where is it? Kaepernick gets up smiling after carrying it for 4 yards.
Yeah, and the best thing that he did was he went to the ground. You know, I mean, he got what he could, and then he got down. And I know in visiting with Greg Roman, you say, man, in light of everything that happened with Robert Griffin, does that change your approach? And he said, no, not really. I mean, we try to minimize the exposure, and they really do. They have some lead blockers, and then smart decision by Kaepernick getting on the ground.
Third down and 15. Packers need a stop. That's Crabtree underneath, making moves, and knocked down close to first down yardage. Went around Hayward, and it looks like they're going to mark him down shy of a first down.
Well, it was designed all the way, and they took a page out of the Packers playbook. Delaney Walker and Vernon Davis go down the field and are blocking immediately, and it's essentially a middle screen to Crabtree. He's the only receiver on the play, and everyone else is blocking downfield.
Well, here's Harbaugh on 4th and 1, not trying the field goal. They're trying to pound it straight ahead, and they get the Packers to jump, and that'll be a first down.
Yeah, I don't think Harbaugh was ever going to let them run the play. I think he thought at this distance, you know, you either call timeout.
Encroachment. Defense, number 9. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
You try to get the defense to jump off sides. They get B.J. Raji. If he doesn't jump, or if they don't jump, then you call timeout and run out David Akers for the field goal. to make this a 3-possession game, but the Packers not able to hold it, and it gives the 49ers a first down.
And now the clock continues to wind with under 5.5 to go. With the ball at the 13. Hand off to Gore. Down to the 2.
Watch Mike Upati. He comes off, and Brad Jones in the middle and just puts him on his back. And I talked about it coming into the game, Joe. The offensive line really is the heartbeat, really, for this entire football team. The good teams that I was a part of, that's the case, and that's been true here in San Francisco for a few years now.
Here's Gore. Shook one tackle and gets back to the line of scrimmage. We've described Jim Harbaugh in his days as a contemporary of yours and somebody who played the quarterback position with an offensive lineman mentality. And as a head coach, he has that ability to tap into the emotion of this game, and he gets this team to play for him. He's wedded, obviously, to no quarterback, but he's hitched his wagon here in the second half of the season to young Colin Kaepernick, and that decision is paying off here tonight. Anthony Dixon comes into the game on 2nd and goal. And he gets it. And he will take it in for the touchdown.
Go with the bigger body of Anthony Dixon, 230+ pounds, and they're able to punch it over the goal line.
Well, they're going to look at it as a scoring play. It looked like his arms may have been down before breaking across the plane of that goal line. It was close. So they'll look at it, an extended look. Take a break and come back with the call after this. We'll get the call now to see if it's a touchdown for Anthony Dixon. Here's Boger.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Not enough to overturn it. No definitive look, and Dixon is in his only carry of the game.
Well, it's close as he comes down, but yeah, it's looked to me like he crossed the goal line, Joe, and there was no real angle to think other than that, and it's just a great drive by the 49ers,
who have a postseason club record 325 rushing yards in this game. 183 of them by their quarterback Colin Kaepernick. But it's Dixon, his first carry. Everybody getting in on the fun, in San Francisco up by 21.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Taken 2. Own it on Blu-ray and DVD Tuesday.
In this fourth quarter, the 49ers have back-to-back 93-yard touchdown drives. Lead by 21. So Joe Staley, who has played injured for the majority of this game. San Francisco trying to punch their ticket for a date next Sunday in the NFC Championship game. Either here at home against Seattle or in Atlanta. Green Bay with 2 timeouts left, 3.5 minutes on the clock, and Randall Cobb, who's been bothered by the flu this week, returns at 25 yards. The difference in the 2 sidelines. That first team's up 21. Divisional playoff game. And as we wind this one down, you saw Greg Jennings and Donald Driver on the sideline. It'll be the final games in Packer uniforms for those two. Here's Finley getting to the sideline. Greg Jennings, a free agent to be, and Donald Driver active in this game. Not a part of it receiving yet. Had been inactive the last 2 games, and so the curtain may close for those 2 guys. Pro's pro on the right, and still I think one of the better young receivers in the game in Jennings.
Yeah, that's the one that they've got to make a decision on. It'll be interesting to see what general manager Ted Thompson decides with regards to Greg Jennings, but what a great career for Donald Driver.
Pass to Cobb, and he is hit immediately by Carlos Rogers. A gain of 4. About the yards and the points put up on this Saturday. 73 in the Ravens and Broncos, that double overtime game, and then what we've seen here tonight. Rodgers out to his left, pass is high, but a good catch by Jordy Nelson.
These games like this, Joe, you get into the postseason, you have high expectations. Certainly both of these teams did coming into this ball game. I know Mike McCarthy likes this Packers team because of the way they were able to win. Unlike a year ago, you know, they went 15-1. They got bounced in the divisional game. But this year was more of a struggle, and he thought that that really toughened this team up as they got into the postseason, and he was expecting a much better performance from his club this evening.
Pass to Jones. He's got a first down into San Francisco territory. James Jones is inside the 45, and now Josh Sitton gets into it. And the frustration comes out for the Packers. There's been a lot of this going on since really the beginning of the game. Sitton and Whitmer got into it.
Well, it was happening all over the field, really. This was the pile back towards the line of scrimmage, and you get to this stage in the ball game, and you know, as I said, it's hard. I mean, you invested a lot of time throughout the offseason, throughout the regular season to get to this point.
Here's Jones. He drops it. And gets hit by Whitner at the end of it. The guy who was just into that little mini fight that broke out with Sitton. Clock stops with 2:14 to go. 21-point game, 2 timeouts left for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, who, as we said, grew up 3 hours to the north and east of here in Chico, California. 49er fan, first start against the 49ers here in San Francisco. 2-1 at Lambeau against the 49ers. Pass is complete to Jones. Good for 7, but this to me is more Kaepernick's night, and this offense for the 49ers taking it to Green Bay. 21-point game, 2 minutes left. Colin Kaepernick, who was born in Milwaukee, grew up a Packers fan, has just broken the heart of the Green Bay Packers and their fans here tonight. NFL record for a quarterback in any game, 183 rushing yards. He added 263 passing yards in this game, and he's watching as Aaron Rodgers, with 2 minutes left, faces 3rd and 3. And Rodgers will dive forward short of the first down. Ray McDonald made the stop. It'll be 4th down.
The 49ers will win this game, and they'll go watch the game tomorrow, and a pretty good matchup there with the Falcons and the Seahawks, and see where they're going to be playing and who they're going to be playing. But a well-deserved win here this evening.
Pass is low, but caught by Jordy Nelson. 12 yards on 4th down and a yard. The fake spike, and Cobb hops out of bounds with 1:17 remaining.
I think it's important to point out also, Joe, that
You know, Mike McCarthy, I'm sure, is very proud of this Packers team, and he should be. I mean, these guys have nothing to be ashamed of. They've overcome so much, you know, with all of the injuries. Well, they've had a nice season, and when it ends, it's never easy to take. But the fact that they got here is impressive in itself.
Here's one that is intercepted by Brown. There's a flag down in the coverage, and it could be against Nelson, but they're going to say it's against Brown. Nelson, let's take a look at it. They threw a flag, and it's against Brown.
Defense, number 25. Spot the foul, automatic, first down.
Brown almost had his second pick of the game. Instead, he's got a pass interference. You saw it coming up after this game, the Crude's postseason or post-game show, and then Brown at the end of it spikes the football. And Jim Harbaugh thought it was against Nelson, but it went against Terrell Brown.
Well, I think it should have been called on Jordy Nelson as well, but Terrell Brown needs to settle down, as do a lot of other 49er players, and not do anything that's going to cost them going into next week's game.
Rodgers out to his right, throws incomplete, broken up. Whitner in coverage on Cobb. And Jim Harbaugh is letting Jerome Boger know about his feelings on that pass interference call.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh, he's coaching him up just like we saw from Nick Saban on Monday night.
He's still as into it now as he was at the beginning. These 49ers would like to see Jerome Boger again. He is this expected Super Bowl referee. The Super Bowl coming up on the 3rd of February in New Orleans. Rodgers looking for somewhere to go with it. He's going to throw for Jennings and a touchdown. With under a minute left, Greg Jennings is in for the touchdown.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers had been able to see him earlier, he could have gotten him the ball a lot sooner than he did, but Packers get a touchdown.
The extra point to make it a 14-point game, and then we'll get into the onside kick attempt. Packers did not have to use a timeout during that drive. About the day for Colin Kaepernick. 446 yards, 4 touchdowns. The first one came on the ground. He's found Crabtree twice. The last one, 56 yards, a career best. And that career is just beginning, and it looks awfully promising for number 7.
Yeah, you know, coming into the game, we said he was a bit of an unknown. Weren't real sure how he was going to handle his first playoff start, and even though he had 7 regular season starts under his belt, and really for a second-year player, a young player, he had played really well. And a couple of struggles along the way, but that's to be expected. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, he was anxious to figure out, okay, what's this playoff atmosphere all about? Every quarterback goes through that. I certainly did, and Aaron Rodgers did, and everyone does. And now I would imagine that he'll be a lot looser during this week as he prepares for the NFC Championship game.
The Crude's post-game show is coming up after this ball game, and that's only half the story. The other half is Alex Smith, who lost his job and was putting together a tremendous first half, really a good season in general, was completing passes at 70%, had a quarterback rating of 104.1, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and nothing he did to lose the job. Jim Harbaugh just wanted to change the dynamic at quarterback and get more of a downfield threat.
Before the kick, timeout, San Francisco. Their second, their first. This is a 30-second time.
Before the kick, timeout taken by San Francisco. There's that matchup tomorrow, Troy, with Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, who led the NFL in completion percentage, and that good matchup on the outside of the big receivers and the big defensive backs for Seattle. And Aaron Rodgers Going over to two guys who may not be with this team next year, Jennings and Driver, after that last touchdown.
Yeah, I think to your point, Joe, that you know, hey, it was a gamble. It was a gamble by Jim Harbaugh. You said Alex Smith was playing great football. You know, he had done nothing to lose his job, and yet he went with his gut on what he thought was best and what gave his team the best chance to not make the playoffs, not win a playoff game, but win it all. And so far, the gamble has paid off for him. You know, I mean, this was a big game, obviously, for everyone involved, and I applaud Jim for making a tough call and doing what he thought was best for his football team.
Onside kick attempt by Crosby. He got that high bounce, but it goes right into the arms of Delaney Walker. How about the day for the Harbaugh brothers? The Ravens won earlier today in Denver. John Harbaugh, their head coach. And now his brother Jim as the 49ers, moving on 2 years as the 49ers head coach, back-to-back NFC championship games.
Yeah, you know, Jim's dad Jack is somewhere today watching those games, and the Harbaugh household is a happy family tonight with, yeah, both sons coming away victorious.
Producer of today's game, Richie Zients, director Rich Russo, associate directors Jake Jolivet, Rich Gross, Greg Scopatoni. Thanks to Steve Horn, the editorial consultant, broadcast associates Bentley Elliott, Alex Olson. Technical producer Dave Hill, technical director Colby Bourgeois, and the audio mixer Fred Aldis. Studio show produced by Bill Richards, directed by Bob Levy. Dave Schwalbe, our spotter, playing hurt in this game. Ed Sfida, the best booth statistician in the game, working the numbers. And the kneel down to end it. 49ers moving on. Another NFC championship game for Jim Harbaugh and San Francisco. It's next Sunday. And Mike McCarthy, the tremendous head coach of the Green Bay Packers, his team comes up short here in the 2012 season. Take a break, come back, and wrap up our day. 49ers win it by 14. Tonight's player of the game is brought to you by KFC after this 45-31 win for the 49ers. Colin Kaepernick, 17 for 31, 263 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 181 rushing yards, which is an NFL record for a quarterback all time, any game, any time of year. That early pick six, no indication of what was to come. If you don't bring KFC to your couch gate, you're not showing up. You're showing down. Studio show coming up after the break.